A solution is defined as a means of solving a problem or dealing with a difficult situation. We see a lot of people that compare our work to others out there that say a lot of the similar things that we do, but there's a major difference in what they share versus what we share. Our work is very different from others for several reasons, but the main reason is that Endel and I are offering solutions. It is pointless to keep identifying the problem when you can't come up with a solution. There are many others out there that do a fantastic job of identifying the ills of the first cognition reality and continue to beat the dead horse of what is wrong, but who else is offering solutions? Nobody. Well, that's not true. The New Paradigm Trilogy does offer solutions, but most people can't see the solutions because they are not plainly stated. We have worked hard to plainly convey the solutions that were offered in the book, as well as the solutions we'd seen before we found those books. Hello everyone, I'm Gemma Beall, and welcome to Attaining the Second Cognition. We've shared throughout many of our presentations that asking questions is the most important thing that you could do to advance your awareness. This presentation is, where are the solutions? And this is a question that should be at the forefront of everyone's mind when they are studying or researching any material in their quest for advanced cognition. There are so many factors that are involved in the creation of this species. When I say creation, I'm not just talking about the creation of the physical forms of our species. I'm talking about the creation of the mentalities and mindsets within the species and the operating function across the board. They are clearly visible and glaring once you've raised your awareness high enough to see it, but there are still many that cannot see because they choose to keep their awareness limited. Our body of work is very broad and spans every corner to paint the entire picture of the ills of the first cognition. But within the body of work, we've also have provided solutions to solve those ills and to create a new reality. Just because someone uses the phrase descriptive of creating a new reality doesn't mean that they've told you how to make that happen. We are in the process of providing that information through our videos and books, and therein lies the difference. Even though we've given solutions in every single one of our presentations, a lot of people cannot see the solution because their mindset is stuck on the problems of the first cognition world. Someone that has only watched the videos will not see the solutions. Someone that has only read the books will not see the solutions. Even someone that has read all the books and watched all the videos still might not see the solutions because their mindset, which has been conditioned to be this way, is still stuck on the problem rather than the solutions being offered. First cognition is all about problem identification and first cog band-aid fixes to fix the first cog problems. But second cog is about solutions to the ills of the first cog so we can create a better reality where these problems don't exist in the first place. I know the difference between first and second cog is difficult for people to understand, and it is difficult for us to explain because these two energetic frequencies aren't about understanding or being understandable from a mental perception. They are something that is felt and known within the being, not in the mind. Endel discussed the issue of understanding in his video, The First Cognition Comprehension Threshold Problem. It is not a simple concept where you can drive to it, get out, and visit it like you can an amusement park. It is something you shift your consciousness into and know you are there. Even though both realities reside in the same physical plane, the operating functions within them are both energetically and frequency based, so energy and frequency is what fuels both. Each of us is an energetic being, even if we're not aware that we are. Everything we do, everything we are, is energy. We emit our energies, and these realities and everything within them are products of the energies of everyone in that reality. This is why we say that those still connected to and feeding the first cognition system with their energies will never be able to shift into second cognition energies while they choose to feed that first cognition system. I've seen plenty of people that have shifted their awareness towards second cognition and then depart and move back into first cognition because that is where they chose to keep their mental focus, and their energies quickly follow suit because they don't have the focused awareness to not give their energies to that system. Do they realize what they've done? Probably not, because they have two conflicting mindsets. One is toward second cog as a pipe dream, and the other is toward first cog problems. But their energetic emissions are stuck feeding first cognition problems because that is the mindset they chose to give more attention to. A mindset alone will not move one nor keep them in the second cognition reality if they have other conflicting mindsets that are captured by first cognition and their energies are still feeding the broken system of the first cognition. Moving oneself into second cognition is more than just thinking, I want a better reality. It's a movement of the whole being that creates the shift into second cognition, mind, body, and psyche. Just like our 3D reality where we can go visit a place and then return home when we're ready, one can move into the second cog and move back to first cog because they haven't made second cognition their home. Endel and I have stated time and time again that we eat, live, and breathe our psychopath, and this means that we have made the conscious choice to live in second cog reality as our home all of the time, not just when we want to think about it and devote time away from the first cognition world to think about it like most people do. Everything we do is our conscious intent to only feed our energies to the second cognition reality. None of our energies are ever fed to first cognition reality because that is our intent. Most people, even those that do understand energy, do not understand the importance of this intent, which is why they still feed the first cog reality by their mindset, even though they may think or believe they are operating in second cognition. I want to talk about mindsets and perceptions. How many of you thought, perceived, or whatever in your mind that when I released the Waving the White Flag video that I said the war was over? I've had several comments from others with the idea that the war was over, so it's something they no longer needed to worry about. I didn't say the war was over. I said we were no longer fighting their war for first cognition on their first cognition turf. There is a difference. They still have first cognition energy harnessing to keep others still feeding that system. They are still actively participating in war crimes against humanity by this harnessing to that system. It is the responsibility of each individual to make the conscious choice to disconnect their energy from feeding that system. If you think the war is over, you will not set your conscious intent to disconnect from that system because you will believe there is no longer a threat and no need to expend the effort to extricate yourself from that energetic quagmire. There will always be a threat if you still feed that system. Thinking is not conscious thought. Most people operate through thinking, not conscious thought. Conscious thought is very powerful, but is only supported by conscious action. Consciously choosing to live your life from the standpoint of a creator is not going to manifest if your actions, conscious or unconscious, are still focused on problems rather than solutions. This is the solution to moving out of first cognition. Second cog doesn't have the problems because it's a new creation, and we do not want to bring first cog problems into this reality to corrupt what we are all creating, individually and collaboratively. I want to give you an example of what I mean. Even though we are operating from second cognition, things that happen in the first cognition world go on around us because there are two energetic frequencies that occupy the same space. We came out of first cog, and periodically we have to operate within the first cog frequency, though we are operating as a consciousness from second cognition. We do this interface with the first cog world through controlled folly. This means that we know that the first cog world full of folly, but we only appear to be operating in first cog when we know the folly of that world. To people operating in first cog, we look no different than they do, but unlike them, we have no emotional attachment to that world or the outcome of the dramas that plague it. We are only visitors to that reality, no different than being on vacation in a foreign land. So we interact with it without being attached to it energetically. The problems of the first cog world can affect us if we do not have the second cog solutions, and I'm going to use 9/11 as an example. I don't need to explain what 9/11 was because there's not one single person in this world that doesn't know what it is. The 16-year anniversary of this event is coming up, so there are a lot of people that are still putting new but rehashed conspiracy information out about this event. If you go look on Google and type in 9/11 conspiracy, you will see approximately 1,180,000 results. This is the result of a dead horse being continually beaten. There is nothing that any one of us can do to change the event. There is nothing in any of the details, once again, conspiracy or lies, that will give us the solution to prevent a future event. Nobody is giving anyone a solution because there isn't a solution for the event itself, because it has already happened and that is not going to change. Any solution would be how to prevent future occurrences. I'm not saying anyone give any solutions to this, but I will offer up a solution as a second cog creator. This solution is energetically oriented. We cannot change the mindset of any other human. That is for them to do themselves. But the other side always and continuously works with energy in order to boost these types of events, because the fallout creates such a huge, emotionally energetic charged outburst that the death and destruction is worth their efforts, because every memorial, every day of remembrance continues to fill their energetic coffers from the event for years and even decades after the fact. They don't care about you. I don't just mean the puppets that pulled off the event. I mean the choreographers of the event itself. The actors involved are just actors. They aren't the writers, producers, or directors of the event, and it is the writers, producers, and directors that need to be stopped. They get the power they get by the energies you and everyone else personally feeds them through feeding that first cognition reality. When you shed a tear over the lives lost, you are feeding their murderers. When you emotionally send your sympathies and compassion to the families of the victims, you are feeding those that murdered their loved ones. This is the difference between operating with intention versus operating with intent. Their side is so strong and powerful because they use and abuse human emotions and trick and taunt others to blindly give their soikas and emotional energies away, so these tyrants can turn those energies as weapons against you. Their adepts harness these energies because once you throw them out, it is like throwing cash on the wind. Anyone can grab it and anyone can use it. It is no longer yours. Their adepts use your energies to create and program other harnessing programs to keep you continually feeding that system in your utter ignorance of how this process works and how energies work. The adepts program these energies to strengthen these types of events. They have adepts by the hundreds of thousands, but as Soika crew there are only a few, and there's only so much we can do to hinder their efforts when everyone else is blindly aiding their efforts with their energies. If you find yourself drawn to these types of first cognition dead horse beatings, ask yourself these questions. I'm only using 9/11 as an example, but there are many more out there that these questions should be asked before getting into your research. Am I still feeding this first cognition system my energies by watching or listening to this? Are these people that are creating these first cognition dead horse beatings still feeding the first cognition systems themselves? Are these people offering solutions? Is what I'm learning by watching this, is it inspiring me to come up with a solution? If enough of a Soika crew can stop feeding that system and begin expanding second cognition, we can put our energies and efforts together to energetically stop these types of heinous crimes against humanity in that first cognition system. For every single one of us that stops feeding their system, it lessens their strength in their war efforts against humanity. But until enough of us stop feeding that system and put our creative efforts into working collaboratively with each other to feed a reality where tyranny doesn't exist, that system will never die, and our second cog efforts will not help humanity escape that well-defended tyrannical system. When you look at the fabricated spiritual traditions pushing you to be compassionate in their spiritual teachings, your compassions and emotions are simply being gathered and harnessed so their adepts can turn your compassion into a weapon against you and the rest of humanity. Don Juan taught about this faux compassion and noted that a warrior does not use such compassion. You can rest assured of the fact that he saw human compassion being used as a weapon against this species just as we do. Soika warriors do not provide faux compassion to the weapons arsenal of the tyrants, and neither should you. We use a lot of time and energy moving through our daily lives. There is work to do, bills to pay, errands to run, and chores to do. All of these things happen whether we are in first cognition or second cognition, and most of the time do not advance our awareness, but we must do them to keep comfort in our lives so we can focus on our advancement as we squeeze time in for it. With these time constraints on us, I've created a Soika habit in order to save my time and my energy from being wasted on things that do not contribute to advancing my Soika by asking my Soika this question before I dive into any pursuits that are not daily life related. Is this something I need to expend my time and energy on? If my Soika says no, I don't waste my time or energy. I set my intent a long time ago to advance my awareness, and my advanced awareness is focused on creating and focused on solutions to the first cog ills, so my creating efforts to second cognition are fruitful to a new creation, not rehashing what doesn't work. We are our Soikas, and in spite of any ego habits we may still have present in our operating system, our Soikas know when something will be valuable to expanding our awareness or if it will be a waste of our time and our energy. Ego habits focus on problems. Soika habits focus on solutions. There is far more that we can be doing individually and as a group to shift the energies to expand second cognition. But in order for us to do this collectively, we must all be on the same wavelength with each other. We've said in our work that one cannot step foot in the second cognition reality while they are still feeding the first cognition reality, and this is a fact because that first cognition energy will only taint the energy of the second cognition. Second cognition is a frequency and a reality that spans this universe and was created by Soika crew everywhere, not just here on Earth. So this isn't a rule that we've imposed, it was agreed upon by all Soika crew. So if you think you could backdoor get into second cog while still feeding the first cog system, it's not going to happen regardless if you believe it will or not. So a solution you need to find for yourself is if you are really Soika crew or do you just want to be. I want to thank everyone for observing and considering this information. Thank you for subscribing and sharing these messages. I'm Gemma Beall. Until next time, stay the course and don't give up on yourself or give yourself away to first cognition.